Alright, so this was round 3 of my most recent tournament. Let me give you a quick recap. So I've been playing players who are rated like around 300 points higher rated than me most of the time. And luckily for me, I have 1.5 out of 2, which is pretty incredible. For this game, my opponent was actually 400 points higher rated than me. So that'll be pretty interesting. Either way, so I'm playing black here, and my opponent starts the game off with e4, and I of course play the only opening I know, c6. He plays knight f3, which is the line, d5, ed, cd, and he goes for this very interesting bishop b5 check, which I think is theory. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's theory just based on the couple of moves he plays next. Either way, I play knight c6, most simple move here, knight e5, and I play bishop d7. Again, a very nice, simple move. He takes my bishop, I recapture my queen, he plays d4. And yeah, I mean, it's completely reasonable. I'm gonna just develop my position like normal, you know, knight f6, e6, bishop d3, rook c8, castles, a6, maybe b5 at some point, and I'm fine. It's just an equal position. So I go e6, trying to develop all my pieces, castles, knight f6, knight c3, and bishop e7, and my development is pretty much complete. I was thinking about bishop d6 here, which is an option, but I again thought that maybe he might get something here. I mean, my bishop isn't really doing that much. He might go for something like this in the future. Then my knight would have to move, and I don't really have a good square for my knight. In all honesty, if I was playing this position with black, I might even just go bishop d7 here. So I thought that would just be like a waste of tempo. So I played bishop b7 in one move instead. He goes bishop f4, taking the diagonal that my bishop left, which is, well, my bishop didn't go to. It's pretty simple. And I decide to kick out the bishop here. And I have a sizable advantage despite not having the bishop pair and not being castled, because this bishop isn't very good anywhere. Either it goes back to a4 and I can kick it all the way back and even get my bishop pair back, or it goes back here and here where it doesn't really do anything. On e2 it kind of more just blocks his position than helps it, and on d3 I mean, like, oh no, h7, oh gosh, not h7, oh drats. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's totally okay. So I play a6, and my opponent decides to go with bishop a4, which I think is probably one of the worst moves. Well, actually, bishop d3, I mean, I kind of overlook it. Obviously, it hangs the d4 pawn. Hangs the d4 pawn, so you can't do that. Yeah, whatever. He goes bishop a4, which I think is probably the worst option here between captures and bishop e2 and bishop a4, because this bishop just gets pinged out with b5. And my opponent spent a long time here, obviously calculating sacrifices, because I mean, it's either here and just a forcing line from black where you wouldn't need to calculate, or you have to calculate like bishop takes b5 or knight takes b5. And here, I immediately kind of didn't think about knight takes b5, because I thought, if you're going to sacrifice a piece, you should sacrifice the bishop, because I thought that the knight might be more like useful here. It might like start jumping around, start making threats to like these squares with the dark squared bishop. My opponent... So I mostly calculated bishop takes b5 is what I mostly calculated in like 20 minutes that my opponent was thinking. But after all this, my opponent ended up capturing with the knight. And the reason why I didn't think about this is that the bishop doesn't pressure at all. After bishop takes queen b7, I'm just going to castle, get out of the pin, and what he has to show for it is he has these two connected passed pawns. But those passed pawns will only be very useful in an endgame with very little pieces. And right now, I mean, pretty much all the pieces are on the board. So this all happens in the game, this queen b7 stuff. he defends his bishop with queen d3, which is an interesting option, but I'm kind of just playing on instinct here, and I quickly castle. He goes for the c3, simply defending his pawn, because if he played like a6, I have knight takes, and the queen is overloaded between the defense of the bishop and attacking the knight. So he plays c3, and I go knight a7, which is a very nice move. And my computer's having an aneurysm again, but it's not the end of the world. I just moved my mic slightly away. And I go knight a7. The reason why is because I calculated this for a while, and I thought my queen shouldn't be stuck defending my knight. I like the queen more or less just targeting this pawn back here, and after something like a4, I will take, and he gets this doubled pawn, and I'm happy with that transposition of the position, and I'd be very happy in this position because now he doesn't have these connected passed pawns. He just has one passed pawn, which is easily defendable. Or he could move his bishop here and lose the pawn on b2. And that took some calculation because, of course, that's pretty dangerous, taking that pawn. He gets his rook here, and I have this one square to go to, and then he might have some like bishop b7 trick to maybe trap my rook in the future. And it's dangerous. It certainly is dangerous. So that's what my opponent goes for. He goes for this bishop a6. So after it captures, rook fb1. Also, personally, I thought that rook ab1 might be better. Of course, I can't take on a2 because then my queen would be trapped. I'll just show you. Like here, I mean, my queen is stuck in the position. I just have no squares, and I would lose my queen. That'd be pretty awful. I can't take on a2, so I mean, it's just like the same thing, but now you get both rooks into the attack much easier, and now one rook isn't just like stuck in the corner. Either way, the computer actually likes what he played. The computer likes rook fb1, and I talked to my opponent after the game, and he said that he didn't even see rook ab1, but whatever. Queen a3, rook b3, and my queen just comes back here. I thought that this was slightly better than queen a5 because now my queen can go to c4 in some lines and try to trade off the queens. And also there is no like rook b4 because of course my bishop defends. Not like that. My bishop defends like that. Either way, he goes bishop b7, and I thought there's like a lot of analysis in this video, but it's kind of why you're here. I thought this was a little premature because I was kind of scared. I was kind of scared while playing the game. I was kind of scared of him just making like an improvement move like h3, and I didn't see a move for black. I just didn't see a move. Maybe I'd have to go knight e4. Maybe I'd have to reroute over here, but then he has maybe this move. I don't know. It's kind of scary. I was very, very frightened of certain like bishop b7 later and not right now, because that's his big threat of the position. And fortunately, my opponent did a little premature with bishop b7 immediately, and I go rook d8, of course, defending my rook. He goes rook b6, threatening this rook a6 to win the knight, and I'm not going to fall for that. I'm not an idiot, at least I'd hope not. So I just moved the knight to c8, which was actually always my idea in the first place. Of course, I could have played some like queen c4 here maybe, and this is okay. Computer actually finds something really cool. Computer finds knight e4. Oh my gosh. After this, what is even the idea? Queen b5. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I suppose so. And after this, what do I play after this? Oh, I just take the bishop, obviously. Either way, I go knight c8, which was always my idea, and I'm kind of proud of this one. And I'm also attacking his rook. My knight is ready to come back to d6 and maybe e4 or c4 in many lines, and I'm proud of this. My opponent goes for rook a6, and now, actually the only move here to not lose. I mean, you'd think maybe queen d7 doesn't look too bad, but actually my queen is trapped. If I go queen d7, let me just illustrate this for you. My queen is trapped after bishop c6. That'd be pretty rough. The only square the queen has that isn't like over. Oh, I guess queen can also go to e8, but that's still bad. Only square the queen has is queen c4, which I play in like no time. My opponent actually trades queens with me and thinks that he's going to win this pawn back. And you know how his advantage earlier was that he'd get these two passed pawns that were going to come down the board like this? There's only one of them left. There's only one of them left, and it's not looking too hot. I'm only down. I have two pawns for the piece. Oh wait, no, my bad. I have a piece for one pawn, and I'm just completely winning. So I go with this knight d6. Defends the pawn, attacks the bishop. If he wants to trade here, I'm fine with giving up this pawn because one of his major advantages in the position is the bishop pair. So I'm be happy for that. He refuses and goes bishop a6, still thinking that he might be winning the pawn back on c4. But knight d5 happens. Bishop back, knight e4. I'm actually going to win the c3 pawn here, which is very powerful. So I'm attacking the bishop, and I'm also attacking the c3 pawn. The bishop goes to e1, and I have the very incredible rook d6, which is just, oh my gosh. First of all, if my opponent trades rooks with me, I'll be happy, because that's just another piece off the board. I'm up material, of course I'm happy with that. And secondly, he kind of has to. He doesn't have anything else, because he's losing. My opinion, bishop b7 is the best move, trying to trade on his own terms. But he does it like this, knight there. And I defend the pawn with the knight, which is very useful. But even more useful than that is that what the knight also does is the knight restricts the bishop, and now the bishop has no squares. So the bishop is actually trapped here. And the only move to save the bishop is rook b1. And the bishop can come to one of these two squares, but then I'll just pin it, and I'll win the bishop at least. But he goes a4, and rook a8, and my opponent resigns. And this is actually my best win ever. Like, ever. It's not my favorite game. I feel like I played better in other games, but this is my highest rated opponent that I've ever played, ever. And I've ever, like, won. So that's really great for me. I hope I have more things like this, and I hope you enjoyed. Round 4 will come soon, the last round of the tournament. I now have 2.5 out of 3, which actually puts me in running for the top 3. And yeah, that's pretty great. So I'll see you later. Good evening and good night.